The second worst thing to happen to young people is remote work. 1 in 3 relationships begin at work. This is where you find friends, mentors, and mates, and especially young men need the guardrails of a workplace. But in my view, the worst thing that's happened to young people is the anti-alcohol movement. I've had Huberman on, who I'm a big fan of, and Attia on, and my point is that the risks to your 25-year-old liver are dwarfed by the risk of social isolation. In sum, think of all the amazing relationships you've had in your life and be honest. Did alcohol play a role? In sum, get out, drink more, and make a series of bad decisions that might pay off.
Yes! Interesting. I mean, yeah, there's something to be said for that. He's obviously weighed up the pros and cons, and he's talking about young men specifically, right? So a 25-year-old male who's isolated, who's feeling anxious and insecure, sure, maybe we'll have a few drinks and be able to go out and engage with people. And part of learning is making mistakes. So it removes inhibition, alcohol. We know that. So what are the other ways that someone can do that aren't so detrimental? And again, it's weighing up the pros and the cons. You know, I got sober at 22 because I had already created enough damage in my life that I knew that I needed to stop drinking. But not everybody reaches that point at age 22. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very interesting and valid point, and also speaks to the lack of tools that we're providing our, kids for them to be able to go out in the world and engage.
I mean, I can relate to some of the things that Scott said. Alcohol can alleviate social inhibition, right? And more technically, it sort of eclipses the prefrontal cortex and you become more instinctual and less rational. And sometimes that helps you engage with others, public speak. I mean, I will admit, I will raise my hand on this podcast and say, before I go on stage, often, not always, I'll have a shot of tequila. I'm not necessarily saying that's a good choice, but for me, that has been a choice that I have opted for because it does relieve some nervousness that I have. Now, clearly, there are more adaptive methods for alleviating social inhibition and nervousness, but they're just simply not widespread and out there.
They're not as readily available, and they're not... and they're more time consuming. I mean, I used to host a live late night TV show as a teenager, and I would drink quite a lot before I went on that show because it's crazy that a teenager is hosting a live late night talk show. And I would drink because I was very nervous, and it made it, a lot easier to do my job at that point. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's harder doing stuff, living life without that kind of social lubricant. Right. But if you don't build the muscle, you don't build the muscle.